When you saw that interview with them, I think there was a couple of interviews. When you saw that interview with them, I think there was a couple of interviews. The one thing with Maria Bartiromo, where they sat down, and I mean, they were glum, and they're saying there's nothing there. I would be honest with you, there's nothing there. After years and years of pushing, and also calling this somehow a Democrat, according to them, conspiracy theory, and that somehow the Democrats were involved in your brother's death.
I don't think the Democrats. Look at it this way. Bill Barr, when he came out with that ridiculous statement, he was the Attorney General. You know, who did he look? If Jeffrey was murdered, which I believe he was, somebody did it. So the people who were coming out with these ridiculous statements, I think, are covering up for somebody, right? So who are they covering up for? You know, Bill Barr worked for the President of the United States. Kash Patel works for the President of the United States. Pam Bondi works for the President of the United States. Maybe someone should ask him what he knows.
Who do you think they're covering up for?
Who do they all work for?
They all work for Donald Trump.
Well, like I said in another interview, I wouldn't be surprised.
You wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump was behind your brother's death? Are you saying that Donald Trump had your brother murdered, do you believe?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if that's what it was, I wouldn't be surprised.
Whoa.
We know that Jeffrey had dirt on Donald Trump. We know that. That's a fact. Because he said in 2016 with the election that if he said what he knew, they'd have to cancel the election. He didn't tell me what he knew, but that's what he said. And I've been public about that before. That shouldn't come as a shock.
Dirt like what? Dirt about what?
Steve Bannon said that the only person he feared for Donald Trump's sake was Jeffrey Epstein. Why? What do you think? Jeffrey was going to beat him up? No, it's because of what Jeffrey knew.
And what did Jeffrey know?
Well, I don't know. He didn't tell me what he knew, but he said if he said what he knew, they'd have to cancel the election. That's a direct quote.
Hello, guys. Welcome back, and thank you so much for being here. What's going on? Please like and share this video. That's allegedly Jeffrey Epstein's brother, basically repeating what the statement that he made that has been repeated multiple times about how Jeffrey Epstein told him that if Jeffrey Epstein, told his brother what he knew about Trump or Hillary Clinton, they will have to cancel the election. Do you know what I think? Yeah, granted, the alleged Jeffrey Epstein's brother is basically saying that, oh, his brother never told him, Jeffrey never told him what it was that he knew about Donald Trump. I don't believe that. I think in a bid for him to save himself, to protect himself, so that he doesn't end up like his brother, he will say that, no, he doesn't necessarily know what his brother knows. His brother never told him exactly what he knew about Trump. His brother only said that if he divulged what he knew about Trump, the election will be canceled. So, yeah, and his brother strongly believes that Epstein didn't take his own life, that he was taken out. And obviously the MAGA base is in stitches right now, and for good reasons too. If you are just a pure racist or you have other agendas as to why you didn't want, Kamala Harris to win, that's a different thing. But if your intentions are pure, if your intentions are true about the reason why you felt like Trump needed to win because you believe that Trump was going to be the only one to release the Epstein file, of course, you will feel right now like you have been duped. You will feel right now that you have been taken for a ride, and you will be among the people demanding that Trump basically release the file. And now Trump is obviously feeling the pressure from the MAGA base. And what does he do? He then came back and said, yeah, there was a list, but it was a Democrat, it was Obama that cooked up the list and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Obama cooked up the list, and you claimed that you were going to release the list once you got elected. and then you never release the list, knowing how much you hate Obama, knowing how much Trump hated Obama. Does anybody believe? Again, this is another example of Trump just basically taking advantage of the gullibility of the MAGA crowd. And if Trump is telling you this, if Trump is doing all of this, it just shows like he has no respect for you as a person. He has no respect for your intelligence. He doesn't think that you're smart enough to figure out what's going on. He doesn't think you're smart enough to figure out that he and his goons are all playing you for a ride. And I am glad that even the people who voted for Trump believe in whatever BS that he said he was going to do, and now realizing that he has done the complete opposite of what he said he was going to do. I'm glad that those people are now speaking out, because whether Trump is directly linked to Epstein, whether his name is on the Epstein file or not, there is no doubt in my mind and in the minds of anybody who's paying attention that there is somebody that Trump is protecting. Either he's protecting himself or he's protecting the elite. There is no other explanation for this. But yeah, MAGA base is not here for Trump. And let's just go over some of the things that they are saying. Okay, he's going to have to release the list. And I even hear people like Steve Bannon basically predicting that if Trump does not release the list, he's going to lose 40% of the House in the midterms. And I see that actually being the case. This is not one of those things that he is hoping will fizzle over like a lot of things that he has done. This is something that he campaigned on. This is something that he campaigned on. This is Trump's son right here. Okay, touting the release of the Epstein file. Where is Trump's son? This is him talking about how, oh, the Epstein file has to be released. Why hasn't the Epstein file been released? Let me go ahead and share this.
For crimes, but no. How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, folks?
Currently, unfortunately, and fortunately, hate to break it to you, your father is now the one hindering the release of the Epstein file. Make no mistake about it. Every single person that is holding on to the release of that file is working in accordance with what Trump wants. Don't get it twisted.
How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, folks? It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles for some reason. I can't imagine why, right?
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
In this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not letting it go ever. Ever.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
Isn't it just amazing how quickly Trump flipped, okay? So Trump put out a statement, Trump's DOJ put out a statement that there was no Epstein list, which basically set everything in motion and just sent the MAGA base losing their minds for good reasons too. This is one of those very rare occasions that I will be siding with the MAGAs. Yeah, for good reasons too. Every decent human being in America should be shaken by the fact that all of a sudden Trump is now saying that we should just move on from the list. Move on from the list. And this is something that he and his people campaigned on. So a lot of MAGA people who voted for Trump, even podcast bros who invited Trump over, they are feeling very, very used. They are saying that Trump basically used them because everything that he said he was going to do, he has done the opposite. He has now sunk America way deeper into debt thanks to his big, beautiful, big, ugly bill. So he's done so many things that has now really got the MAGA crowd really scratching their head. Here's another example of one of Trump's faithful supporters just freaking out about Trump now saying, yeah, there was actually a list, even though my DOJ a few days ago just said that there was no list. But yeah, there was actually a list, but it was a list that was put together by Democrat. Listen to his supporter losing, like crashing out.
So President Trump has acknowledged that the Epstein files exist here. President Trump has acknowledged that the files were written and that there is something there. He says that they were written, however, by his enemies and therefore will not be released. Whoa, what?
Right.
That's new in this entire zeitgeist. This is something that is wildly interesting. And then he goes all in on supporting Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. No mention of Dan Bongino, where all of this, again, sort of transpired.
And Dan Bongino, according to reports, got angry and stormed out of the office. And word on the street is that Bongino is basically planning to put in his resignation, like he's going to resign from the position. And if he does resign, that will be the closest to us actually knowing information about what is on that list. Because if Dan Bongino quits, that means he's going to find a way to have the list released, the names on the list released. And that's basically the only thing that is basically, we are, at least somebody like me, I'm holding on to. Here's what a reporter said, a journalist said about Donald Trump and his relationship with Epstein. Listen. This is creepy, guys.
And I've said before that Epstein used to bring out this set of pictures. There were about a dozen snapshots. And among them, there are at least three that I remember. Two of topless girls sitting in Trump's lap around Epstein's swimming pool, and among them, there are at least three that I remember. Two of topless girls sitting in Trump's lap around Epstein's swimming pool.
Wow.
And then one with a stain on the front of Trump's pants.
Wow.
With three or four girls laughing and pointing at it.
Wow.
So I have seen those pictures.
Wow.
So what's your best guess as to where they are?
Well, I'm my best guess is that Epstein kept them in the safe. A safe was emptied out by the FBI. Where are those pictures?
My opinion is that the FBI already has access to those pictures, those information. And the reason why Trump is coming out gung-ho defending Pam Bondi is because he knows that Pam has access to those pictures, those evidence, and he has to do what he must to defend her and not throw her under the bus, because he knows, again, this administration, people are just blackmailing Trump from left, right, and center. Everyone is blackmailing Trump. Is this really the person that you want as your leader? Somebody that is blackmailable, somebody that is easily blackmailed. Is this really what America wants? That is the question that you have to ask yourself. And I have seen so many crazy arguments with people saying, well, if Trump really was on the list, people who are defending Trump, saying if Trump really was on the list, why did the Democrat not release the list if Trump really was on the list? The reason why, I'm not here acting as if there is not a possibility that there are some Democrats who protected these elites who were on the Epstein file. They probably knew or felt that releasing the file was going to also implicate people that they know, people that they are close to, and it's all just one nasty, disgusting situation. That's what I believe is going on. Just because they did not use the Epstein file or the content of the Epstein file to go after Trump does not mean that he wasn't in the Epstein file. And it doesn't mean that they were protecting Trump. They were probably protecting other people, other nasty, disgusting people who are also on the file. And if you are a real pro-America, if you are a real America first and the citizens of America, and you have any human decency in you, you should be calling for the release of the file, as opposed to defending Trump and pretending and asking stupid questions about why was the file not released at this point or another point or whatever. You should be fighting for the list to be released if you believe in your heart that he's innocent. Okay? Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Like and share. I'll catch you later. Bye.